the Daily Mail one. It's deep in the Daily Mail, like so. Okay. Okay, sweetie. You too. Yeah. Halfway to the final push.
It won't go anywhere, don't worry.
Who knows with these folks, you know? You just don't know.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, I don't know if you can get by, there's so much gear back there, I just want to be sure.
I tried. I'll navigate around, don't worry.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Very good.
Yes, do we know who this gear belongs to?
No.
Me, it belongs to me.
It's all yours. No,
It's a lot of gear.
it's chaos.
I don't know if I'll go back here.
Oh, look at the live view, it'll tell you who it belongs to.
Okay, thanks, sweetie. You too. Bye.
Oh, yeah. I can do something like that. Hi, I'm Kelly. Oh, yes, here's my good friend. I've heard you. Now that Dave is emeritus, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good, well, nice to meet you.
Yeah. They just put it like this.
Yeah, I talked about it.
I
I
saw-
heard he was doing well.
Yeah, he was doing well. I saw him in, gosh, when was it, September or October, when a colleague of ours passed away. He came.
Yeah, because he'll come down here every summer.
Yes, yes, so I got to see him. He looked great and
Is
seemed
he
to
in
be
the
doing
booth?
well.
That's good.
Yeah.
How
Yeah, I
we
miss
doing
him.
with- doing with snow up in Michigan?
Yeah, they got their hands full with that.
Almost frustrated.
But I think they're really enjoying it. College towns are great places to
I
retire
know,
to,
I say.
because they're full of life.
Yeah, I totally
There's a
agree.
lot to do.
Be distracted.
Yeah, both my parents worked at the university, and every time we went up, we heard about college town.
Yes, nice. Absolutely. Yeah, so he's good. He's good. That's fine.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I really felt fortunate to get to know him.
You know, someone who's in the booth watching my
Very
shot,
good.
and then he sees the start, kind of flying down.
He's mentoring students.
Yeah.
Not teaching, mentoring. He's like trying to be the future boss. Yeah, he would have.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Helpful. This is not tough.
Yeah, I know.
I'm ready to do
They did say, she said,
Because they have so much.
oh, yeah, and because the other housekeeper is still on the floor, and the apartment's on the floor right now.
Well, that's gonna change.
Is anybody here? Yes. Sorry, yeah.
I'm gonna go back and plug in my phone because I am very anxious.
Always been moving, right?
Of course. Hey, Tom, I'm gonna run back up and plug in my phone since this may be delayed. I'm just gonna put the phone in.
Yeah, me too.
Come in here and just, usually staff just stands off to the side. So they get to see.
Yeah.
Of course, it was.
Were you down in College Station?
No, here.
Oh, here?
Yeah, or not the funeral, but the
Right,
cathedral.
yeah.
And it was fly by the seat. We didn't even have credentials at the time.
Right, right. Good
And
promise.
I was so glad because my father was older and now they are.
Oh my gosh, that is very so fast.
Yeah.
They're 30 or 40. And it's just like, from videographer said, yeah, I'll help you out,
Yeah.
Bucky.
Oh, yeah, exactly. No, always get it. Friends and moms, highlights. That's always the best.
I'm sorry.
I'm Caroline. Yeah, I'm with Fox. So I started out in LA.
Do you know, Lillian on the desk?
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Lillian.
Yeah, she's been known for a long time.
She's great. Yes, no, she's the best.
Yeah, her husband Phil.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah.
It was always up here with us. Always
Yeah.
gets sad quickly. So, yeah. Yeah, for better or worse. I feel like I spend like more time on the phone with Lillian than I do. So, which is a good thing. Which is a good thing. She's full of lovely advice.
Yeah, no, they're both great people. Yeah, I went to a concert and I hadn't seen Phil in a while. I went to a concert in Winter last week.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, they're just the nicest people.
And they were two of the first people I met that came to DC.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. No, that's, I feel like that would be a lucky mission. So, it's always nice.
And especially in this business where it can be a little
Exactly.
touch and
Not
go.
everyone is, yeah.
Right.
No, they're great. Always very good.
I was joking about that. 'Cause I'm usually on the house side. We were talking
Okay.
this morning with the gallery people.
Mhm.
And I was just saying, it's nice.
No, right. Absolutely. So like it's never hard to find that people are be friendly. Just, stay off my back.
Yeah, and as we everybody pass that along.
Yeah, exactly.
He or she is good.
Mm-hmm.
Is this guy?
I just
One of the guys in the gallery was telling me, he had to put like at ESPN years ago when he first started out. He was like, wow.
Yeah. No, it does. It follows you. Like, and I'm just like, it's not that hard to reach. It's just not. Like, we should all do it all the time.
You were at the Warner
Mhm.
Game thing.
Yes,
last week.
yeah, that's what.
It was nice that they keep those boom mics.
Oh, it was so nice. Yeah, that audio was good. And it was not that like they came up and talked afterwards. It helped because those are so hard.
I know.
It's just the way I'm like, in theory, that's great, but it's not good for
Right.
TV. It's good for reaction. But it's like,
I know, every time I would do assignments, when I was doing assignments, one of my coworkers and I, whenever we would see the word round table in the release, we're like,
exactly.
because
Yeah.
again, it sounds great, you get all these people.
Mhm. Yeah, in theory.
But they either don't
So
have
hard.
or
Mhm.
they-
Right.
you know, everything that goes into it, that's the one thing, it's not.
Exactly. It's just really hard. And the thing too that I always think is hard is like they didn't have all of the people's like information ahead of time, so that you could like identify them. So I was like, I don't really have to spell any of these. Like, so we ended up mostly using something sneakers, and I was like, it's good for color.
Well, you know what was funny about that was, a couple went bathing.
Mm-hmm.
So I went up to, because I used to be a wire service or whatever. I
Okay.
used to always have me quote.
Yes.
And I went up to them, you know, they've been in a public forum. And but the guy from their controllers, I can't go to the car offices with their names.
There
you are.
Right, they know.
Yeah.
So,
You have your own earpiece though, right?
so I asked,
You got your own.
Senator Warner's. I said,
Oh,
Right.
"Figured
Well, I put it up.
I think I heard that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah,
Cause she was kinda like, no.
yeah. No, because that makes sense. It would be so much easier, and that's very big. She's not
You
really
never know.
all of that. Everyone needs to be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause,
I
yeah.
a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Covering people, she's doing cover president.
Or you just put that stuff on people like this. You want to see it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. You want to know,
Yes.
and then you want to know these people are too, so not on,
Right.
if they're not official.
And then you wanna think you're all that.
That's it.
There we go.
Thank you. Well, sometimes,
Great.
yeah, it doesn't do anything for me.
Right, exactly.
I'm here to not like
Well, good afternoon, almost good evening. Over the last several days, weeks, there's been a group of bipartisan senators who have been in discussions on ways that we can end this shutdown and responsibly take up the border security issues. Senator Murkowski and I agreed to lead colloquy on the floor of the United States Senate this afternoon. We had, I think it was 18 senators, 19 senators who spoke on the floor, evenly divided between Democrats and Republicans, who expressed a very common theme. And that theme was, let's get government open, give us some time, and then we are committed to working together to come up with a bipartisan proposal for border security in this country. That we have confidence that working together, we all want to secure our borders, we all want to deal with different things. There may be different views as to priorities on border security, but we know that working together, we can reach a positive conclusion. We were able to do that in the appropriation process on Homeland Security and border security. We believe we can do that again in regards to the President's request. So we recognize that there's going to be a great deal of disappointment with the failure of the votes today, with the government still being shut down. We know the great harm that's happening every day. No one has to remind me of that. Senator Van Hollen and I were with small businesses this morning, and some of those businesses may not be open next week. We recognize that. We were at the food bank yesterday and saw proud federal workers, patriotic workers, standing in long lines in order to get a hot meal. So you don't have to remind us of how devastating the shutdown is. Our mission is to open up government, how we can do it in a responsible manner. So to follow up the colloquy we had today, I've introduced with Senator Graham, and I guess there's 11 of our colleagues have joined us, or 10 of our colleagues have joined us, in a bipartisan, clean, 3-week continuing resolution. I offered it as an amendment to the bill that's pending on the floor. So that is now before, at least it's been filed as an amendment to the current legislation. We're going to continue to work together every day. We've had conversations with our leadership, and we're going to continue to do that and do everything we can to get us together so that we can get government open and deal with border security. And with that, let me turn it over to Senator Murkowski.
I want to thank Senator Cardin. I want to thank all of the members who joined us after what he has described as a couple disappointing votes. I think it's fair to say that most felt that we were dealing with probably flawed measures on both sides, but it was an opportunity for us actually to come together, be able to express views on 2 votes. But the folks that I work for back home are telling me very clearly, enough already. We don't care if you have messaging votes. We want to know, what are you going to do to get the government back open? What are you going to do to make sure that I'm working and I'm getting paid? And so the obligation, I think the real commitment that we have as lawmakers is to demonstrate that we can do the work that has been requested of us. And that is getting the government back open again. So what you saw for the past hour, again, was an expression, hopefully, of hope. For the first time in 34 days, you've had a bipartisan group of senators coming together in public, speaking in public about a commitment to work together. I know that that doesn't deliver a paycheck to people tomorrow, but our goal is, again, to push these negotiations forward in a manner that is constructive, and then in a manner that not only gets government working again, gets folks being paid again, but deals in a manner and in a way that acknowledges the priorities of border security that the President has laid down. Let's allow for that space, the 3 weeks through a continuing resolution that allows us to come together through a process to help facilitate the discussion on the important nature of the border security. So, while today didn't open the government, I think the message that we've heard loud and clear from Americans is enough already. We respect that. We're getting to work here.
Chris Van Hollen.
Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you. I want to thank Senators Murkowski and Cardin for organizing the bipartisan colloquy we just had on the Senate floor. And it really sends two messages, and I want to just briefly underscore what my colleagues said. Number one, let's reopen the government, and that's why I'm pleased to co-sponsor the amendment that was just filed, again, a bipartisan amendment to reopen the government for 3 weeks. What does that get us? First of all, it puts all these federal employees back to work on behalf of the American people. Number two, it makes sure that all 800,000 federal employees get paid. As we all know, tomorrow will be the second pay period when they don't get a full paycheck. Instead, they're going to get a zero. That's unacceptable. Their bills keep coming in. And third, and very importantly, it provides us this space, this breathing room, to have a very serious negotiation in good faith to resolve some critical issues. We all want to strengthen our borders security and make sure we have strong borders. We can deal with that. We can discuss other immigration priorities in that process. But that process will be while the government is reopened and people can get back to work and get paid. And so I'm pleased that even on a day when the two other major amendments failed and were defeated, we have some sort of spring of hope here to try to get this government open as soon as possible and get to work on serious negotiations.
Yes.
Senator, while you were on the floor speaking, the White House put out a statement saying that in order to accept a 3-week CR, they would need a quote, large down payment on the wall. Are any of you willing to support a large down payment on the wall for a 3-week CR?
So let me make it clear what we've already put on the table so people understand that. As you know, the United States Senate passed legislation that would have kept government open. The president changed his mind after that legislation passed the United States Senate. We can argue why he changed his mind. And then we had a government shutdown. I think most Americans understand the shutdown was caused by the president's demands on his wall. What we have put on the table is our reputation as legislators, that given 3 weeks, we'll come up with a successful conclusion on border security issues. That's putting the responsibility on the legislative branch of government. We're willing to take that responsibility. So from the point of view of the president, we're prepared to say we'll deliver. To me, that's a major issue that we put on the table by agreeing to a 3-week CR and a commitment to produce a bipartisan border security bill. I don't think it's productive for us to talk beyond that.
But they said specifically they want a large down payment tied to this.
We're not going to get into negotiations while the government is closed and you have hostages that have been taken. It's not going to be a productive discussion. It can't be done quickly. I think Democrats and Republicans both understand that. That's why we're trying to get a period where we can get things done in a productive manner. So to answer your question, the best way to proceed is the way we just suggested.
Well, I think what is important right now is not only that we had a good gathering of close to 20 lawmakers on the floor, bipartisan, talking about the imperative to address both getting the government open again and addressing border security. But hopefully, as we speak, the majority leader and the Democrat leader are meeting, and they're having, they are in the court, so to speak, right now, insofar as these discussions and these negotiations. This is, I think, as important as anything else that has come out of the two votes today, is that the recognition of what we can't do. You saw that play out with the vote count today. That's what we can't do. Now you've got Leader McConnell and the minority leader trying to figure out what we can do. Anything else?
If I could just add to that, the bipartisan amendment, was to open the government for 3 weeks. Democrats didn't put conditions on that 3-week opening. Republican senators did not put conditions on the 3-week opening because the one condition that we all agreed to that was not written in was this discussion, a very serious, sober discussion that will take place during those 3 weeks to resolve these issues and reach a final outcome.
So Senator Van Hollen, does that mean that you rule out putting any conditions on this bill? If the president wants conditions, then that's a non-starter.
Look, what I'm describing right now is what the bipartisan amendment that was filed today would accomplish. And based on the discussions that we've had in the Senate, I think there's an understanding that the best way to resolve the shutdown on a permanent basis is to take that 3-week breathing space and use that time to work in good faith on all these issues of both border security and other immigration priorities.
Senator, do you sense that there is a willingness to maybe get to a point where you'd even override the presidential veto in order to get this time for work and negotiation that you're describing? Do you sense that that pressure point is evolving, that you could actually get to that threshold?
I'm not thinking about vetoes. I'm thinking about constructive ways that Republicans and Democrats are able to move forward.
The president won't sign.
I'm not going to go into the what ifs. I'm working on today.
I generally find if we can reach a strong bipartisan product, the chances of it having to deal with overrides are very remote.
Well, what would your message then be for the president about his wall at this stage of the game where you're at right now? What would you say to him if he was here about his wall?
You know, look, I want to get government open. I'm prepared to listen to anyone in order to get government opened. I think that we need to have an orderly process in the United States Congress. We're a co-equal branch of government. I think this is the best way to move forward. If we can get into a discussion of how we got here, because I was impressed by our appropriators. We have 2 of them here. And what they were able to do with the appropriation bills for FY19, including Homeland Security, taking up the president's request and acting on the president's requests. It was either a unanimous or near unanimous vote in their committee. So I'm impressed by how we work in dealing with requests. But let's be clear. The president changed his mind after the midterm elections, after we had already passed the appropriation bills out of our committees, and changed it a second time after he got a reaction from a support group that he felt he could not deal with. So understand what we're dealing with. That makes things a little bit more challenging for us. But we want to get government open, and we want to deal with border security, and we want to do it in a broad bipartisan basis.
So is it accurate to say that this amendment, as it is, doesn't have money in it for a wall?
It does have money in it for a wall. It does have, not for a wall. It does have money in it for Homeland Security, because there's a continuing resolution. Senator Manchin said on the floor just a few minutes ago, we have a continuing resolution for the Homeland Security budget. So there is money available in the Homeland Security budget for whatever was previously approved. No, I don't think there's money in for a wall, though.
What feedback have you gotten from Leader McConnell or Leader Schumer about this idea?
We've been. I can speak for Leader. I'm not going to speak for Leader Schumer. I can tell you though that we've been working with Senator Schumer, and I think what Senator Murkowski said a little bit earlier. Ultimately, the path forward as to how the process will work when we can open government needs to be negotiated between the 2 leaders. We recognize that, and we are hopeful that there'll be discussions taking place between the 2 leaders.
When do you expect to vote?
Oh, I wouldn't. I think it's way too early to make that prediction. Again, that's up to Senator McConnell. Hopefully, in his meetings with Senator Schumer. Thank you all.
The president just said this.
Thank you for informing us on the president.
He's got a
I
pipeline.
love technology.
Exactly. He said in the White House, he said one of the ideas suggested is they open it, they pay some sort of prorated down payment for the wall, which I think people would agree. So he's talking about a prorated down payment for the border.
I have no idea what that means. And again, I think the best way for us to proceed is the way I just outlined before. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks.
Talk to the House about
The House, as I understand it, supports a short-term CR, but you have the leadership, Democratic leadership, but, you know, they have sent us over a short-term CR, so I would think they support a short-term CR.
Thanks.
Pardon?
How does this proposal differ from the bipartisan letter that senators were organizing, asking Trump to reopen the government in exchange for having a serious discussion on border security?